go to the capital. Let's head into London. If you're Anglophile, guaranteed you will want to head to London. But if I'm honest with you, London is not my favorite part about England in the slightest. I think the thing is with bigger cities is that there are tons of tourist traps. So how do you know what is really quintessential and isn't actually just a tourist interest? What is really quintessentially British? So in today's video, I thought I would talk to you about 5 things that I enjoy doing as an Anglophile in London. So one of the first things that I like to do, or one of the things that I prioritize when I'm going into London, is going to the museums. Now, coming from Canada, most museums are not free. You pay to go in them, whereas a lot of the museums here are free. And so if you head into the British Museum, you are going to be able to take in so much culture, so much art, and so much history, and for free. I think sometimes people think when they come to London it's going to be expensive, which, depending on what you're doing, it definitely can be expensive, but there are tons of free things that you can do as well that will allow you to take in the culture. Now, I think a lot of people can go to lists about what to do in London and see museums, but I think what they don't realize is that because museums are free here, I feel like the knowledge of art or the arts is so much higher than it is in North America because it has been free to access for so many people. So you might not think of art as something that is quintessentially British, but believe it or not, it is. Now, the second thing that I would highly recommend you going to do is going for an afternoon tea, which I know, very stereotypical, but you can have afternoon tea here quite often for any types of ladies' days, bridal showers, baby showers, etc. Bridal showers and baby showers tend to be more of a North American thing, but they are gaining popularity over here. Now, I haven't done this in London just yet, but it is on my list. I want to do it at Christmas time and make it into a tradition with my husband, or when I have friends and family visiting me and we stop into London. But I've seen the afternoon tea at the Ritz and it looks absolutely splendid, and you really do get the British experience. Now let's talk about a little bit of shopping. Now, I think a lot of people don't think, oh, I'm gonna go to London to go shopping. Perhaps if you're living here, you might think that because there are the bigger department stores, or the brands themselves will have stores there. I recently popped into one of the Ralph Lauren stores and it was amazing. But some of the stores that I first wanted to check out when I was coming over here were stores that I saw in a lot of historical films. Stores like Selfridges. Have you seen the series on Netflix? There is so much history that you can learn from that, especially if you're looking at the history of merchandising and how they do the windows. Truly, that's one of my favorite things to go do in London that isn't going to cost you a thing. Going and looking in the windows. There is so much art and so much storytelling that is put in these store windows that you don't even realize it. And so I feel like you get to take in the same experience like going into a museum. It's a form of art. It isn't just a form of showing you what's on special. So if you're heading over here as an Anglophile, I'll definitely recommend that you check out Fortnum's and Mason's. I definitely recommend that you check out Selfridges, and I definitely recommend for you to check out Liberties of London. Are you coming to London? Then you have to check out one of the markets. I absolutely love Notting Hill Market and Borough Market, and actually in this next clip that I'm going to show you, my aunt and uncle were over from Canada and we headed over to Borough Market. I think it's actually pronounced Borough Market, not Borough, but anyways, I digress. Let me take you on that trip. didn't get to show you too much because the biggest thing about Borough Market is it is packed. It is packed all the time. I think that there are stalls there that are there all the time, but then I think on weekends maybe there's more stalls than usual. Don't quote me on this, but it is always packed. It is really tasty. It can be a little bit expensive as well, but it is all a part of the experience. Last but not least, if you are headed into London, this is the part that might get a little bit pricey. The London restaurant scene. Now, I do think, at least in Alberta, where I'm from in Canada, I do think that we have amazing culinary experiences. But in London, it does tend to have a little bit more flair, a little bit more luxury to it. And I also find it becomes a lot more of an experience as opposed to there's just your meal. Now, what do I mean by that? I have never experienced another country, and even though I haven't lived anywhere else, I've traveled to other places that make their restaurant or dining experiences into an experience. And there are so many speakeasies here and so many restaurants where it's an actual experience once you get in there. Britain isn't exactly known for its customer service. That's well known. However, I do think where they do really excel is making these foodie moments into an experience. Now, when my aunt and uncle were just recently visiting, we didn't go anywhere too bougie, but we did stop into a Turkish restaurant and it was honestly insane. I have a few clips, but as I mentioned, it's nothing out of the ordinary, but I do feel like London is one of those places where you will get different foods. Like there's not very many Turkish options in Canada. There's other options, but definitely not Turkish. Well, not as much Turkish. Anyways, let me show you some of my favorite restaurant experiences in London. Anyways, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. What is your favorite thing to do when you come to London? Let me know in the comments.